Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by thelines.com. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by Nate Weitzer. He's on the East Coast, and we are rolling along with some play-in action and some futures action here. We've got player props up right here in this video for you guys for both of these Western Conference play-in games. Also got a best bets video up with some sides and futures looking at those two games there as well. So make sure to subscribe to that page. I'll also tell you about the futures video in general that we have up, a couple picks from both of us here on these series prices and the like. So make sure to continue to follow along all postseason with us. Also want you to head to thelines.com and use everything we're putting up on the site right now, including as it pertains to these player props, the prop finder tool under the NBA tab, which goes ahead and gives you all of these odds and lines that are coming out from these books to make sure you get the best juice on all of your wagers moving forward. Nate, let's go ahead and get right into your first NBA player prop from one of these two games here in the Western Conference on Tuesday.
Yeah, I'm going to say Klay Thompson under 3.5 3-pointers, minus 104 at FanDuel is pretty good odds, and hoping Malik Monk is not able to return here for the Kings because that means more Keon Ellis and more defense, more disciplined defense from the Kings, who have done an excellent job with their closeouts in their last 10 games. I mean, they have the number 5 defensive rating overall, but if you look at some of the shooter data, like they haven't allowed any shots with the defender within 2 feet, so closing out, and they're allowing the third lowest frequency within 2 to 4 feet, under 3%, and teams are not shooting well with that contest versus when they're open at they're shooting 35%, still not amazing, but yeah, I mean Klay's going to get them up one way or another, but he's not shooting particularly efficiently against good teams. Like he's averaging 4 in his last 12, but he's gone under this against good defenses. Like at least good defenses running you off the 3-point line. Pels, Spurs, Pacers, Wolves, Mavs twice. And the Kings, he was able to hit 5 in games 1 and 2 against them last year. And then they kind of, got disciplined about that, ran him off the line, held him to 32.5% in the last 5 over that course of that series, averaging 3 triples per game. And then 21% in the last 2 with all the chips on the table in games 6 and 7. He went 4 for 19. I think Mike Brown, obviously very familiar with his game and what he can do at this point, Klay Thompson, and that is not really beat you off the dribble too well. So, I mean, to stay disciplined, close out, and make him put the ball on the floor. And I don't see him hitting 4 threes if that's the case.
Yeah, it's Klay. You got pick your spots, and I think if you stay consistent with taking an under, once we get to this playoffs and things get a little bit tighter, we'll see. I mean, I can see both sides of the coin here in terms of like Klay doing, but it's a better bet to not bet on Klay doing extravagant things at this point in his career and believing in the older looking Klay that we've seen. I actually thought he was going to do a little bit worse than he even did in their last game without Steph. And he just kind of kept going, but that was a Jazz defense that is about as weak as you can be up top. And if you have Keon Ellis and Davion Mitchell on the floor at the same time, you got 2 of the top 10 like above the break defenders in the league. There's just no question. And if I'm Mike Brown, like I don't know. I have a choice here in terms of like, do I just sell out on Steph? Do I sell it on Klay? And when he has chosen to sell out on Steph, it has opened things up for Klay more, but he didn't hit them necessarily last year either in the playoffs and the postseason as things tightened up. So like I said, I could see it going either way. I think you're in the right frame of mind, at least with the minus 104. And that's a better way to, you got a bit more of an edge for sure on the under than the over. I will say that, but I'm going to go under in another seemingly, I don't know, scary kind of bet here for Domas. If you're ever taking under 12.5 rebounds or under rebounds in general for Domas Sabonis this year, might seem like a silly play, but the under 12.5 for him, it's actually not a very likely, nearly as likely of a bet, with historical context here. We've got Draymond playing. He's played 3 games against the Dubs this year with Draymond in there. He went under in all 3. He averaged 9 boards per game with 16 rebound chances. And a lot of these like 12.5, 13.5 rebound props for Domas are somewhat based on the idea that he's had like games with 22, 23 rebound chances. He's had a game with like 27 rebound chances, but that ain't going to be the case in what we expect to be a slightly, at least slower affair. And if it's not a slightly slower affair, the Dubs are shooting a ton of threes, and that's a huge part of all this for Domas and his lack of boards against this team. It's a couple big things. One is the threes that are going up for this Dubs team, which create a lot further rebound chances than obviously, right around the basket where he's standing. However, at the same time, when he is playing defense, it's interesting. He's actually not guarding Draymond as much as you might think, but let's say he's guarding TJD in this one as well. They're going to put him in the pick and roll. They're going to run the crap out of that pick and roll with TJD when he's on the floor against Domas. That's for sure. And it's interesting because De'Aaron Fox has actually spent a lot more time guarding Draymond in these matchups than say Domas. And I think they're trying to get Domas closer to the basket because they know on offense Draymond's playing further away, setting screens up top, even playing as the sort of point guard up top above the break at times as well for a lot of these offensive possessions for the Dubs. Last 10 games for the Dubs, where, we've really seen Kevon Looney just sort of get just nixed out of this lineup. And honestly, like, I'm good either way. If Kevon Looney's in, I mean, he was a rebounding monster against them last year. We saw him average 15 boards per game in their playoff series last season. And he was getting about, 25, 28, 30 minutes at times in that series. And I don't know that they're necessarily going to go back to him. They did in the first game this season, but either way, like I was saying, I don't necessarily care either way if Looney's in or not. When he's in, you've got an incredible rebounder who's going to give Domas fits. When he's not in, you've got first of all, TJD is a very good offensive rebounder at the very least. And then you've got a dude who's a little bit younger and spry. And if they're going to match him up with TJD, then they're going to be pulling him away from the basket, making him run a lot more on defense, which is not what you want there. So, he averaged, Looney averaged 11 minutes per game in the last 10 games of the season. That's why it's like you have to decide. And I don't have any info yet from Kerr or anybody revealing if it's going to be a little bit more Looney or not yet. And I'm sure they're not going to let us know that. But like I said, either way, what Kerr has said is he wants TJD ready for the playoffs. And that's why you've seen his minutes just continue to increase over the course of the season. And really, they haven't played too often as of late. So you haven't really seen TJD get in there and get those minutes against his Kings team. But either way, if there's no Looney or TJD, now you're definitely forcing Sabonis to guard Draymond at that point. So I think I know the Dubs are fine with having Draymond on Looney, on Sabonis. And that has been a huge part for his rebounds. But it's a lot to do with like I said, with the rebound chances. Once you get him down to 16 rebound chances to get 13, that ain't happening. And if that's what he's been averaging, then that's what my projections are going to go with. And even if he plays 37 or 38 minutes in this game, it's still going to be maybe you give him a couple more rebound chances than there than otherwise. So I'm good with the under 12.5, and you get pretty good juice at -110 on MGM.
Yeah, it seems more likely than not. You would definitely need this game to go under. You definitely need a lot of missed shots for him to get those 13 rebounds. With Draymond, I think that's the key here is just he's either pulling him away or he's being physical and boxing him out, keeping him off the offensive glass. Sabonis is just asked to do so much for the shorthanded Kings team right now that I don't know if we can, depend on him getting 13 plus rebounds. So that's fair enough. I'm going to take Zion over, and we waited on this, and people bet it up. He's up to 23.5 points. He's up to -120 instead of the plus money on 7 rebounds. So I'm going to take 30.5 points / rebounds, which is -108. And just counting on him to be aggressive in both respects. I mean, we saw him respond to the criticism he got around the play-in tournament when the Lakers just absolutely waxed them. We've seen him down the stretch be a much better rebounder, responding to the criticism that he doesn't get any boards despite being huge. He responded. His next meeting with the Lakers goes for 30-9 on 32.5% usage after they got waxed in that play-in. Obviously, he didn't do much on Sunday in the season finale with BI reintegrating, and we'll see how much BI is able to play. Obviously, he'd have a much higher usage if BI is not fully himself. But either way, Willie Green's tendency to just pull Jonas Valanciunas is huge for the rebound chances, right? I mean, even when they've both been out there, Zion's averaging the same amount of rebound chances as Joe Val, and he has a slightly higher contested rebounding rate. So he is trying, and he got 8 rebounds on Sunday, deferred on 3. So maybe if he continues to be more aggressive, at least on the boards, he will not defer on those boards. Nance, if he's in there tangling with AD. And then the other example was when Joe Val got pulled against Phoenix and Zion goes for 29, 10, and 7. He just seems to be more comfortable playing with Nance on both ends of the floor in terms of scoring. And he has been able to score on this Lakers team, the exceptions being the disastrous play-in loss, and then Sunday again when he was just trying to it seemed welcome BI back, and just it was a weird game where you're not necessarily trying to show what you have before you play them with all the chips on the table.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the most noticeable thing from this series here, and especially the last few weeks, is that Willie Green has said he wants to go a little bit smaller at times. I don't know how you can do that against the Lakers. Like, we just saw it not work. At the same time, maybe he's going, well, it didn't work because we didn't have full BI, and it was a different scenario for us than this sort of last game where we were like willing to just see if, not go all out in this last season game and see if the Suns can, or the Timberwolves could potentially pull out a victory they probably should have had against the Suns, and then go from there. So because that would have given them the 6th seed if the Suns had lost, but didn't matter. They lost, the Suns won, so here they are. But I think they're still okay with, now that they should be able to play BI a few more minutes. That's how I'm interpreting everything. And that's why my final player prop here is about Ingram to get over 4.5 assists. And like, whatever you want, I mean, the numbers are down, the line is down for Ingram. You're not going to see 18.5 points very often for him, especially in what has become a regular, a yearly revenge game for him, where it's like clearly he does like playing the Lakers for sure. That was a complete insult to him of like, yo, we don't need you at all, even if we do get Anthony Davis in that trade. But that'll be probably a big conversation leading into this game. I'm going to take his assists over 4.5. You get even money on that. You actually get plus money if you add the rebounds and go 9.5 rebounds and assists. But I don't love doing that. If it was like 8.5, right, maybe it'd be a little bit better. But I think 4.5. I think him getting 6 assists is the line that that's what I project for him in this one. And if he plays 30 minutes, we should be good. He played at least 30 minutes in 51 games this season. He got at least 5 assists in 44 of them. I mean, it's like an 86% success rate there, and he's averaging 33 on the season. So I'm going with all hands on deck to a degree, and that, they want to win this game against the Lakers. And I wouldn't be surprised if they come out early really strong with a little bit of that sort of revenge narrative and be like, yo, we weren't our full team even just a couple of days ago when y'all smacked us, and we're ready to like come back and bring it to you. And so either way, there's not going to be as much Joval on the court. So I do like the Zion rebounds and Zion to do his thing. But for the assist for BI, like, if you look at his games against this team, he's averaging 13 potential assists versus the Lakers in the last 3 that he played before this last game. He never got fewer than 7 assists in the previous 3 games this season against them. He got 7 and like 11 against them. And the interesting thing too, according to Cleaning the Glass, you can look at where he's assisting, and 21% of his assists are coming to players that are shooting above the break, which is also because they shoot a good amount from there with CJ and Trey Murphy especially. And then the other 40% are coming right around the rim. And actually, the Lakers have not been quite as good with their defensive effective field goal percentage right around the rim, within 5 feet of the basket and all that. They've actually been a bottom 10 team in their last 10 games there. And that's, like I said, where he's going to be giving up a lot of those. And you can imagine a lot of those in the paint are going to be to Zion. And a lot of those up top will be to CJ and to Trey Murphy. So for the 5 assists, if he's going to, even if you dumb that 13 potential assists down to about 11, for him, you take away 2 of them because maybe he doesn't get 34 minutes like he normally gets against the Lakers. He gets 30, right? In which case, okay, I'll take away 2 of those chances. But 5 assists on 11 potential assists for Brandon Ingram looks really good in this one. And like I said, in 77% of the games this season, you even don't even add the minutes, bump and filter that up. You could just say any game this season, he's still at a 77% clip of getting these 5 assists. So this is just down with the assumption that he's not getting minutes, and I'm gonna just bypass that and be like, sorry, he has to play 30 minutes in this one. The season's on the line. Mostly, I understand they can, but do they really want to play the Dubs or the Kings? I don't want to have a 1 game scenario there where I'm doing that. So I'd rather just come out here and do my thing and move the hell on.
It's really the most interesting question of this whole thing is, are one of these teams, the Pels or the Lakers, going to, not care that much about the play-in game and risk playing for the 8 seed so they can duck Denver? And I don't know. I mean, the Pelicans, their motivations are a mystery to me. I don't see the Lakers being that type of veteran team to want to play an extra game, even though they match up much better against the Thunder. But, you got to go through Denver either way. Like, I don't see teams trying to duck them. Like, if you're so sure they're going to be there at the Western Conference Finals, might as well try to beat them in the first round. It'll be interesting. But, the number is low for BI. He was doing a great job facilitating when he was healthy. So I fully support trying to capitalize that with plus money.
Yep, 100%. So we'll see how it goes. That's like you said. Is someone gonna duck? This is the beauty of the play-in tournament. Is like, all right, you can try to manipulate your seeding, but you might be in a March Madness style elimination game that I'm not sure you want to mess with. One dude goes for 7 threes in a game, and you're cooked at that point. So I wouldn't risk it. If anybody would risk it, it would be the Lakers. I'm be honest with you. That'd be the only team that I would think would have enough of a sort of comfort within themselves to do that. But we'll see. I'm not going to try to predict that. I'm just going to assume everybody's trying to win right now. And that is all the time that we have for you in this player prop video for the Western Conference play-in games. Definitely want to subscribe to that page. We got plenty more coming. We got best bets from these two games. We've got a futures video, and we'll be coming back with everything you need for the Wednesday games as well in the Eastern Conference play-in there. So continue to follow along, and until we do, see you next. Happy betting.